This is going to be our April Fool's prank, where we just fucking drop fucking F shit turds every fucking cunt-licking minute.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Alien Familiar RPG Podcast. I am Clayton.
I'm KD.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Nina.
I'm Kyle Perkins.
And I am Skaggs.
A newcomer! Welcome, fresh meat.
Thank you.
Do you like being fresh meat?
No.
Okay.
Before we get started, I just want to remind our listeners that you can find show notes and more at alienfamiliar.com. You can email us at alienfamiliarmedia@gmail.com. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/alienfamiliar. And I am on Discord as DM Scorpio number 0660. And I have a channel for, you guessed it, Alien Familiar Media. Our topic for today that we are going to be discussing is got broken down into 3 parts. Signs that your game master is
in a tizzy
or frustrated, things a game master should never do or say, and when the game master should be an
a-hole.
And as I thought more about the different aspects of this topic, I really contemplated changing the name of this topic to Do As I Say, Not As I Do. Because there are a lot of things that I get
PO'd
about and frustrated about that I shouldn't. There are, by extension, things I should never do or say because of those things. The portion of the topic of when the game master should be
butt munch
is a reflection of my own personal bias. So I would just want to start off by talking about if there's any dissent about the fact that there are times when a game master should be a justifiable
casserole.
Define it.
Casserole.
Like, do you mean a stickler for the rules? Or do you mean like, oh, what's that? You really, really wanted to get your personal storyline in? Well, an NPC that you were really excited to get and talk to and learn about, they die. And there's nothing you can... They're
fuzzing.
Dead now.
Yes, we should talk about whether there are specific times when it is all right for the game master to begin.
Gas pole. And
what those times are. So, that is not one of those times.
Well, but what if that player's being a total...
frackin' coot.
Like what if they're being like just a...
flying diode.
And you really, really hate them. And you want to...
friggin'
murder their NPC buddy. Because they could deserve that, Clayton.
Yeah, I was going to say that I feel like the best time to be in
exhaust pipe
is in response to someone being
exhaust pipe.
Where your player is acting up and you just flex your GM muscles as basically God. And
it's an escalation game.
So it's like retaliation.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, Skaggs.
Yes, but it's really fun for the DM.
So this is basically just a nuclear escalation. Mm-hmm. Did we learn nothing from Truman?
We haven't, apparently.
I don't know. I guess I can kind of see that, where if a player's going out of their way to make your life
poopy pants,
they can only do so much versus the person that actually controls everything in the universe. I feel like maybe then you're a little justified to get some payback. You could talk things out like adults and, maybe have a conversation, but there are times when people will come in if they're mad at you about something or if they're just kind of a troll. They're gonna just
freak.
Yeah, that happens. I think you have the right to defend yourself. And you can defend yourself more effectively than they can. It's like, who has the bigger stick? It's always you. It's just whether or not you're willing to use it.
And there's also going to be those sessions where the game master, well, maybe it is the game master, who is the only person sitting at the table who is wanting to play. Everybody else is just wanting to do their own thing, sit and
cow poo.
I have been in the situation where I have felt like I'm here to play the game. I have this time allotted for this recreational, fun thing that I enjoy doing, and it's just not happening. And in the past, I have felt like that was the point where I can kind of pound the table a little bit, raise my voice. But on the other hand, it is unfair because that's just one voice at a table of 5, 6, 7 people who maybe that's not what type of fun they're wanting to have right now. And where does that one person who's ready to sit down and play, why does that one person's desire to do this thing trump everybody else's desires at that point?
Because that's what y'all agreed to do. That's why. It's not like the plan was, let's hang out tonight, and one guy's like, I'm going to run a game, and you guys are going to have fun. It's a plan. So, if you don't want to be part of that plan,
Buzz.
off somewhere else. I think it's perfectly legit.
I think that is something that should, down the road, be fixed with better planning and discussion. And I do feel like in our group, having a strict cutoff time has helped a lot, because then everyone realizes, oh,
Shite.
we just
Cow pattied.
for an hour and we still have to end at 11. And so down the road, you can make steps to fix that diplomatically. But in the moment, when people have been sitting around for 2 hours, like
Cow plopping.
ordering food, eating food,
Fudging.
around, looking at memes, showing cat videos, and the DM is just sitting there and there's like a vein throbbing in his forehead and no one seems to notice or care. I think in that case, if the DM continues to get
Peed.
off, like it continues to just get more and more steamed and doesn't say anything, that is the DM's fault. Whereas as soon as they feel like, all right, guys,
Our Lord and Savior. Bloody.
play this game already, they are well within their rights to be like, we're all here to do this. We're all here to do this. We're all here to play this game. Will you please stop looking at cat videos and sit at the
Dagnab.
table? Like, there reaches a certain point, like 5 minutes after start time might not be a good idea to shout at your players. But 50 minutes after start time, people are still,
Flapjacking.
like, you need to be like, hey, sit down!
That's a 50 minutes. That's a decent length of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just
Playing jacks.
fine.
Well, did you say 15 or 50? I said 50.
50. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because 15 minutes
Jackhammer.
time, like, that's
Flippin'.
nothing, dude.
No, I thought you said 50.
Yeah, I did say 50. I thought you said 15.
No, I said 50.
Okay, cool. So we're clear that we can all stroke our
Ducking.
hard throbbing
Chickens.
in 15 minutes. 50, that's too much.
pushing it.
And so we need to
I
sit
do
down.
50 if you spread it across
I don't
the
know, like if
day.
you have a whole
I
day to
can
yourself,
leave if y'all
Yeah,
want.
you're really just really working it.
take some time, yeah.
This is valuable insight.
You're not going to get this on any other podcast. I'll tell you that right
Things
now.
you learn in
God.
this
Well,
mansion first, man.
I just subscribed to the Hard
Chicken.
Stroker podcast, man.
Oh, okay. All right.
This mansion
Led by
It's only 15 minutes long.
led
each
by
episode.
Henry Zabrowski.
Well, the point is that there's a threshold. You get too quickly, like 5 minutes, you start shouting at people, you're a dickhead. After an hour, you start shouting at people, eventually they're going to be like, oh, maybe the DM's right. I'm sorry. And like,
Clucking.
come to Jesus and like sit down and be
Turn
like,
into Hank Hill.
my bad, Bobby.
That boy ain't right.
I think that's absolutely, you're within your right. You're
Fukin.
well within your rights.
Especially if it happens frequently. Like on the first session, like it's like there's some leeway, but I feel like if this happens like over and over again, you really need to put your fist down.
Okay, tangent but related. The first session, you're right. There could be more leeway. People are feeling each other out. People are feeling each other's...
Naughty bits.
And people are sitting around. First session, you're not quite sure, but what about character creation? I like to breeze through character creation as quick as humanly possible so we can actually play the
Dern.
game after we make characters. I don't like to devote a whole session to character creation. It's boring. We gotta get that
Shiznit.
done. I think that's also a great chance for a DM to be in it.
You know what.
Like when Nina Smith was running Lenina, was running Geist, and people were being
Bloody sticks.
during character creation, and she got real mad and frustrated, but didn't beat him up, didn't address the problem. You gotta get in there and address the problem.
I've had people continue with their character creation like during the first session. It's like I feel like this is something you should have had done beforehand.
What's your punishment, master? When somebody when somebody starts to work on their characters during the first session and they were supposed to be done, what do we do about that? How can we be an
Crumb bum.
but also we can fix the problem?
Well, I think that assumes that somebody was making their character independently. Because most times when you do it as a group, either everybody gets it done or nobody. Like it's either all or nothing, right? Most people aren't like, oh well, like there's a handful of situations maybe where someone lets it go.
I'm just on gear. I just need gear. Okay, we can be done.
Exactly. But like, if someone if you're like, all right, guys, we've all made characters in this system. The first play session is Thursday. show up with your character mate. Everybody shows up. This one dude's like got a name, and he's like, I'm rolling stats right now.
Farkin.
And I've got him. Give me like 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 50 minutes go by. I'm on gear. God, how does gear work? And they're like, did you play in this system? And he's like, I did a one-shot in this system. Okay. But it's getting better. I'm gonna figure it out. And then you just beat the
Yellow.
out of him. Just beat the absolutely loving
Fudge nuts.
God of him. Absolutely, like, Kyle, you were saying, get in there. You get in there. You get in there.
Slap those,
Flapping.
slap them around a little bit.
Yeah, slap them around a little bit. You know, let them know who's boss. People like that. You know, players like that. They like it when the GM just absolutely takes away their dignity and self-respect.
Yeah, slap my
Anus.
more daddy.
Daddy's a cuss word, right? We can
You upgrade from like Dungeon Master to like
Something else.
BDSM Dungeon Master.
Yeah, right. You're still a
You
dungeon
have like
master.
a cat of nine tails, and you're just like beating the person for not having.
Yeah,
a
I mean,
character
you're still a dungeon master. You're just a different kind
Yeah.
of dungeon master. And there's still roleplay happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different kind of roleplay.
stop gesturing at me, everyone. My God,
That was vague. I was gesturing toward
no,
the
it
door.
was. You made eye contact with me. We're
Why
done.
then maybe you shouldn't be sitting at the head of the table. Anyway, you should. Okay.
All right,
real
Kyle.
talk.
Kyle, let's reel it in.
Let's reel it in.
in, Kyle.
Let's reel it in. Okay, Kyle. I think that if that's the case, if they're not done in 10 to 15 minutes with the character, you start without them, and they don't get to play the first session.
If they do something, they don't get any modifiers on their roll.
Yeah,
Until
or-
it's been
Straight up
established.
die roll.
I would even just say too, like just let it like literally start the game on time, and then if they finish their character, great, work them in later on. But if they don't, they missed that first session. That's their fault. Again, that's being different though. If you did things as a group, and then maybe there was a gear issue, and then you as a GM were like, oh, I'll have to check the rulebook on that one. Start of next session, I'll let you know for sure. That's a little different. But if if everyone else has their characters done and this person doesn't, then I say start without them.
I think that can tie back into leniency as well. Like, in certain situations, being a stickler about the rules, strict stickler, could be a
Jerk.
move. Like, if it's the very first session, you start playing, someone goes to make a athletics roll, and you, the DM, are like, actually, that would be athletic, or that would be acrobatics. And they were like, oh,
Sheesh.
I put a bunch of points into athletics, thinking it might be the acrobatics stat. Like, could I switch those around? Could I just briefly redistribute? If it's the first session, inclined to be like, dude, yeah, you didn't know the system that well. You just made the character. Go for it. You're fine. There's some leniency there for a brand new character in the first session. I feel like it'd be an unnecessary
Bunghole.
move, and maybe a sign that your DM is
Effing.
furious. If they're just like, no, it's on your sheet that way.
Pumpin'.
Deal with it, you little
Yellow snow.
monkey.
You're like, I guess I'm a monkey. And they're like, yeah, you are! I'm lenient enough, I think, that even if 4 sessions down the line, they have all those points in that, but they haven't rolled it yet, and they're like, oh man, my big shot! And they're like, acrobatics is a skill? Then you can be like, yep, redistribute it.
And I feel like you could even allow the player to like provide reasoning as to why their
It'd
role
be an
would be
athletics
a
roll.
proper
Yeah.
role to make, especially if it's like a niche scenario.
Inside jokes. Gotta love them. Gotta love not knowing what skills are on the sheet and which ones are. We've all been there,
Oh yeah.
right? You've been there.
Wait,
Skaggs?
Podcasting is a skill?
Oh man.
So do we want to move on to things that the Game Master should never do or say? I was very wishy-washy with this entire podcast idea. When I started thinking about things that the Game Master should never say, I'm thinking, never? Because there's sometimes when you know your group so well and you have that level of trust with them that you know the things you can pull, that suddenly some things that were just completely off of the table if you didn't know these people are actually on the table now. So, like, if the topic of if there is, like, an in-story reason why, for instance, a character would have to go through the consequences of a sexual assault. Like, that is something that we have said you should never, ever do. But there's always an exception where maybe the game master knows their group so well and also knows that it's not going to cause any emotional problems at the table. That might be something that is then something that the game master could introduce into the game. But for the vast majority of instances and times, no, that's something that should never be done or brought up at the table.
I mean, I feel like that's the caveat we give for a lot of things when we tell DMs or players not to do something. We're like, don't do this, but also, you know your friends, you know how to be kind to your friends. Apply this as you will.
Mm-hmm. I think taken out of context, anybody goes up to a group of players that is not their own, 100% of the time, they say, my DM rolled for the possibility of sexual assault on my character. Any group on the planet is going to assume, oh my god, like, that is something that, you know, like, are you okay? Like, what happened? Obviously, within your own group confines, if everyone handled it in a way that your group sees as okay and, you know, handled it maturely, and it was something that actually furthered story or character development and was not just like a rando
Doggone
thing that happened for no reason, it could be alright. I guess in that instance, your DM is technically making a
wanker
move, but is it okay?
What's the payoff there? You know, like, it seems like a high risk kind of thing to introduce, and like, what are you really gonna get out of that as a story element?
It does feel like high risk, zero reward.
Yeah, that seems like a thing that, were you to have that interact with the character, that would be more of a backstory element that happened before the game, and then
And it shapes the way you're coming.
Yeah, like the results of that would shape the character and how they play. But you wouldn't want to do it in game because it's just kind of awkward for everyone involved.
Yeah, nobody in the history of role playing has ever been like, oh man, let me tell you about this awesome campaign I was in where I got gang raped. It was great. No, you're not going to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I imagine you're kind of just there like, well, this happened to the character now. I guess I have to figure out how they're dealing with it. And then you also have to factor in how is everyone else going to deal with it. Like, what if it ends up becoming less about your character and more about, like, how other people are, like, handling it, and you completely lose sight of whatever the GM was trying to accomplish with it in the first place, and I don't know.
I don't know how many other things there are like that. I'm having a hard time, like, coming up with any other kind of examples that are, like, on that level, but that seems like one of those things that's, like, when you're here to have fun, where's the fun going to be in this?
Yeah.
You know?
About the only circumstance I could think of, I've been sitting here trying, is one where a group of people, GM and players included, are all authors, and one of them is writing a story that is their attempt at understanding how someone close to them might handle a sexual assault, and they want to write a story in which it is like depicted as a, you know, journey for and a discovery of strength, and they're like doing it, and then, you know, they're writing a foreword in the book where they're like, you know, this is for my friend, and they write this book about that, and they don't know how to handle it, and there's a whole bunch of stigma about the other people around learning someone went through a sexual assault. How do they deal with it? How does the person who actually underwent the sexual assault, or had it happen to them, the victim, how do they deal with it? And they're not sure how to handle it, and they're like, hey, author friends, could we do like a short campaign where this happens to my character, and we all think very seriously and take this very maturely, and we all try to understand how different characters might go through this as sort of a workshop, like a writing exercise. The group might say, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Let's try that out. That's a challenging topic. Let's approach it. That would be the least fun I've ever had in a game. Ever.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like a role-playing game.
Yeah, no, I'd be weird a bit.
But I could see how that might be a useful thing, and something that, like, and in that situation, that might be a way that could be handled appropriately. And you see how, like, far-reaching and how ridiculous that sounds in the topic of...
Since you can do research like that literally any other way.
Yeah, there's only about 1 million different resources to...
Well, you know, we're going to say that, but then I'm going to bring this back to some of our other podcasts about how we've talked about working through issues and learning about things. You know, interactivity is a better way to learn and workshop than simply reading and consuming information or going to a lecture.
Oh, no, but what I'm saying is that regardless of how your D&D character reacts to it, that's not a thing that you would know how a real human would deal with that situation. Because it is a D&D character and you're doing a fiction. Whereas there's like a million resources that survivors are talking about how their life went afterwards and how they dealt with it immediately afterwards and things like that. Like, I'm not saying this hypothetical, extremely unfun D&D game would be, is bad. I'm just saying that it seems like a silly, very long-winded, roundabout way to do research. It's completely on a tangent.
I mean, maybe. I don't want to harp too much more on it, but
Also,
maybe a person
how do you
has...
know all those authors? Like, we're just a group of authors.
Have you
that
ever,
also play
I'm
D&D.
sorry, have you met an author? Their only friends are authors.
And maybe they've done the research and they've talked to survivors and they simply need help, like, getting into that character's head now that they know
No,
how
that's
they might
fair.
behave,
No, that's fair.
you know.
I'm just saying it sounds so
very strange
strange.
roundabout.
Oh, no, it sounds strange and terrible, and I wouldn't want to do it.
Horrifying.
But my point is that there's always, life finds a way. And
That's what you say about a situation?
look, I mean, if it's a real rape, the woman's body will
I would
stop
like
her
to
from getting
move
pregnant.
on.
They got a way to shut that down.
I would really like to move on.
Actually, I thought of another thing the GM should never do.
is it?
Just to segue away from this topic, because I've had this happen to me, and it's not fun, where the DM just kills a character. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if a character dies, that's fine. Like, if they mess up and they're climbing a cliff and they roll terribly and they fall down and kill themselves, it's whatever. But like, if the DM is like, oh, this is going to be relevant to the story, so we're going to kill your character. It's like, I didn't sign up for this. I want to play this game. But
Yeah,
you
where's
killed
the
my character.
roles? Like, where's the
So,
transparency?
right?
I was actually going to bring that up, too.
Yeah, because you were there.
Yeah.
And,
I was at ground zero for that one.
I was like rolling really well, and he's like, "Well, this is what's going to happen." So your character's just like dead now.
Yeah, like, this is what I need to have.
This is some.
Bull dump.
I was going to say that too. Like, one thing a GM should never do is sort of take away your agency. Really,
Play your character for you.
like put you in a cutscene, play your character for you. If your character is like, okay, an example really quick is like if you're in a tavern, right, and someone breaks into your room while you're at the bar, and you're drunk, you miss the notice roll. That's fine. You had a chance to prevent that thing. You failed, right? It shouldn't be, I really want you to have this item that I really need to get back as the GM. I'm going to have someone just break in and take it. Like, there should always be some sort of role for someone to try and prevent that. It should never just be, this thing happens to you, go. Mm-hmm. That's not a role-playing game. That's playing
Bump and uglies.
like an acting exercise or something, where it's like, all right, here's your setup.
You're
This is
suddenly,
what's
you're
happening to
suddenly
you.
an improv group.
Go. Yeah, you're an improv group, and you're like, okay, like, I think that's a big
Or
one.
worse, it's a cutscene from a
Or like a
anime video game.
Yeah, yeah.
At the very least, even if it's not a situation where a role could work, the party is out adventuring and they have a room rented back at an inn, and the GM should offhandedly say, hey, real quick, let me see your sheets. I want to see what's in your packs. Now is your chance. If you want to make something in that pack that you bought in town, write that down. Okay, cool. Give me your sheets. GM looks at the sheets. Oh, the star of
Ozymandias.
is not in this person's pack.
I think we
That-
Kathmandu.
Left it in the star of
Kathmandu.
is not in this person's pack. They left it in their room. It's not in the pack. I gave them that chance. They know they have this item. They know it's powerful.
They left it there.
Yep. And in that case, you're totally fine to not even have to roll. Like when you go
Right,
back,
no,
your room's
exactly.
been ransacked.
Right. Like, you're not even there.
Yeah.
But
You're not there. You're getting drunk.
Like that even applies to like the character death thing I mentioned. Like if you put yourself in a really, really bad situation and like you're not even rolling for anything, but like if you manage to fall down so far that you are just in a place where you could just die, I feel like that's reasonable.
yeah.
But, like,
I mean,
Getting
I'm
railroaded
more,
into it is
yeah,
not fun.
Yeah. Like, even if you are, there should be like a last-ditch Hail
Oh,
Mary.
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna
Agreed.
try and climb my way out. My odds, like, the DC for this check is exorbitantly high, and I got like a broken leg. I'm probably not gonna be able to succeed. But you should at least have
yeah.
the shot to do that. I think. It's not like, well, you fell down this ravine. Yeah, you're alive for probably 48 hours, but we're gonna just skip away from you because you're basically dead. Like,
Yeah.
that's no fun. So, it's all about fun.
Would it be fair to say that a DM shouldn't tell a player what their character is doing?
Yeah.
I think in most situations, yeah.
I think
absolutely.
aside from the, like, result of a roll. So, like,
Yeah.
you can describe how they, enacted a role with, obviously if you're not doing it right, they'll tell you. But, no, I think you're right. I think they shouldn't be like, you're doing this. They're like, maybe I'm not,
Yeah. No, I was just thinking about the
How
time
would
that
you
you
know?
quit DTR. Because what was it? The entire party was like trapped in prison, and there was stuff happening,
Yeah.
but you weren't allowed to do
The
anything.
boat was, like, under attack, and I did end up talking with the GM about this later on, and we worked it out. But at the time, I was very frustrated because I felt like that we should be doing things, and it turns out that we weren't. We were just supposed to sit in prison the whole time, and I'm like, never played a game where we're just supposed to sit in prison for most of a session, so...
I've made that mistake.
I think there's some situations where it's okay to tell somebody what their character is doing if it's like an elaboration on a role that someone made. Like, for instance, let's say that you're the person on watch, the group's all asleep around camp, whatever. You fumble your perception roll to, detect the ambushers, and the DM says, oh, well, you got up and went 10 feet off in the woods and you're taking a...
Tinkle.
And then you feel a knife on your neck, something like that. Well, I didn't say I went and took a...
PP.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
fucking
no
situation that you're in. Tough shit.
Poo.
I think...
If it's a botch or a crit fail, I love when the DM elaborates.
Yeah, you can describe
yeah.
that. No, and I think that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying more like you saying a character's doing this and you're not describing a role they made. Like, you're just saying you're doing that.
Then
Does
I'll
that make
ball up
sense?
my character sheet and throw it at the DM
Okay,
and say, you
alright.
play.
Mofo.
Yeah. Like,
I think it's fine to
Yeah.
elaborate on
example
it,
of where it wouldn't be cool would be, Rodrigo, what are you doing? I'm going to the tavern. Okay, great. Comes back around. Rodrigo, you're in the tavern. You're being spit roasted over a fire because you told the tavern keeper the food was bad, and they said, "I'll make you the food." And now they're cooking you alive.
What do you do?
What do you do? Well, what?
That's a lot. Can we go back like 500 steps?
I would have never been so impolite.
I have the polite trait right here on my sheet. I don't see it. It's right here. Nope. No, it isn't. No, that drives me up the wall. That's the big one. I think that players should say what they're doing. You can elaborate on a role for sure, and make that work for you. But you should not railroad or like anything like that. And we've talked about this on the podcast going back. So we've always been like, don't force your players to do things.
Here's the thing that I
Murder him. Or just murder him in cold blood.
A GM should not murder their players in cold blood. That's
Or
true.
the characters either.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And
Well, I think one has more consequences than the other.
My
the
dad
characters.
died.
That's as we discussed earlier. They're making the character during the first session. Then you just kill them.
Yeah, then they don't have to make the character anymore.
An appropriate response to that action.
Regarding elaboration, but in a slightly different way, I think it's never okay for a GM to rub it in when a player makes a mistake, or like just rail on them for a death. Like, if a death happens or if a mistake is made, that's fine. You roll a
Saxon.
1 and you crit fail, it happens. But if that leads to, and especially when it's because of a player's choice, if that leads to a mistake or a death, the GM should never, and again, you know your friends, maybe they can take a little bit of good-natured ribbing, but you should never, like, oh yeah, you
Copulating.
fucking moron, you piece of absolute
Stink.
your brain's made of,
Jazz hands.
isn't it, you stupid flabby.
Jerk face.
Let me tell you about what you should have done right here. Actually, no. I'm gonna go around the table. Let's start with you, Rodrigo. What do you think they should have done?
Sir, are I
next,
still
what do
getting
you?
spit roasted at the tavern?
Yeah, not in a way you might like, you little
Intercoursing.
slappy Sally. What about you? Like, you should never rub in when someone has made a mistake, whether they're a veteran or a newcomer. Beyond what you know your friend can handle.
Yeah.
Like, it'll just make people feel like
Feces.
and there's no reason for it.
Especially if it's a new player. Like, don't be like just belittling them over mistakes they make. Now, if you've been playing with these people for a while and they give you
Dump.
whenever you
Screw.
up, then it's probably fair game
Yeah.
for you to be like, God, what the
Fuzz.
did you just do?
Sure.
I
I feel
know
like
your
if
friends.
you and I are going to game together, if you or I
Frack.
up, the other person is just going to go.
Oh, absolutely.
Go to town.
Yeah,
There's
like-
no mercy. But if for the most part, yeah, I agree.
I think for the most part, like we're talking a lot about like frustrations and stuff like that, and like that would be the times when we've all been saying this very jokingly, but like the times when the game master is going to say or do something that they shouldn't do is when they themselves are frustrated, when they're not quite thinking clearly. Mm-hmm. There are some signs that the game is
Pantsed.
but there's still some things that even whenever they're like that just should never come out of the game master's lips. Things like, guys, you just aren't getting it, in response to like just the players not being able to put together whatever puzzle that they're trying to get. Because yes, they are already aware that they're not figuring out the puzzle. They don't need the game master's frustration then just basically rubbing salt in that wound that everybody's getting frustrated. At that point, it'd probably be a good idea to take a break.
step away.
Yeah, because maybe all the players are just too close to the problem. They need some time to get away from it so that they can get a clearer picture of it.
Step back.
Call for
Fornicating.
an intelligence roll or something. I mean, there's some way to
Fudruckin.
deal with it. Like,
I'm a big fan of me occasionally. I'll do this a lot as a player. I'll look at the gym and be like, my character is very intelligent. I'm a
Blockhead.
can I roll an intelligence check? Or not, that's being, self-defeating, but I'll be like, my character is a lot smarter in this area than I am. They would know how to solve this problem even if I don't. Can I make an intelligence check to try and figure this out? And most will be like, yeah, that's fine. Some people will be like, nope, you are your character. And I'll be like, okay.
Same
Yeah.
thing with charisma characters. Like, I'm a socially awkward weenie, but if I'm playing a charismatic character and I'm like trying to like bluff or charm someone, I don't know what I'm doing, but like my character does. But if the GM is like, you actually have to,
Charm me,
you actually
Skaggs.
have to do this, I'm like, no, I can't.
Convince
Let me roll.
me.
Like,
Skaggs, I gotta tell you, if you're a weenie, you're like the
Barkin.
Chicago dog of weenies,
Damn.
dude. Like your
full-on
perfect-
Oscar Mayer weenie.
Yeah, your perfect hair
Damn.
is the pickle. Your charming and intelligent way of speaking is the stadium mustard. The memes you bring to this friend group. That's the
Flappin'.
that beautiful
Flappin'.
like
Bleedin'.
Kaiser roll, and you in your good natured way of bringing a relaxed atmosphere to a table. That's the kosher hot dog.
Damn.
I don't know if Kyle just likes Skaggs a lot or just likes hot dogs a lot.
Well, I'd like to slather one up with some.
Comment removed due to poor taste.
Well, you would pass the charm check, so good work.
You never had a chance to play charisma characters because of someone.
Okay, once again, I'm not like the insert for every girl y'all play with. What the hell?
For
Stop.
this time I was looking there.
Okay.
But slightly off to the right. At the empty space. It's
this-
also...
Yeah,
Mansion
on
full
a
of
tangent. If a character is really overconfident that they can seduce another character, they should have to seduce the character. Like, that's the only where I'm gonna be like, I want to see it.
Speaking of annoying things people do, maybe a GM who like inserts their own, and this does kind of go back into taking away agency, but a GM who, I guess this could be a two-parter. One, the short part is allows a player to be the
Frellin.
favorite, allows a player to be their like teacher's pet, and gives them way too much time. Don't do that. I don't care if they're your girlfriend. I don't care if they're your aunt. I don't care how they know you. Don't do that. Yes, Nina?
Never mind.
What?
Asher was kind of the teacher's pet in Eclipse Space.
You're the only one that actually gave a shit about your own personal story. Everyone else was just like, let's finish the game. Let's finish it.
I'm with Nina.
Okay, don't do it.
Jerk face.
Move.
Part two.
Two, don't take game time, don't take the session as an opportunity to get up on your pulpit or get on your soapbox or stand up to that microphone and, like, show them just how
Pluckin'.
awesome you are, to the point where you've been rambling on in character doing the voices of 9 different NPCs for about half an hour. And like, expect your players to just sit there enthralled, like, boy, I love those NPCs that he's just talking to himself for half an hour. I love that. No one loves that! No one likes it. It's dumb. It's
Fecal.
Yeah, no, the part 1 of that I definitely relate to, because I've had that happen a few times, and it's really, really irritating, especially when it gets to the point where teacher's pet character suddenly can, like, has influence over the other characters as if they were, like, a second DM. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I'm not playing your game, I'm playing his game. It
Shadow
definitely-
GM.
Yeah. It's definitely annoying.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about on the podcast that if you're struggling as a GM and you're newer, it's okay to have that veteran player that you lean on. That is not the same thing as having, like, favorites that you kind of cater to, or text incessantly, or
At me next time, why don't you?
kidding,
Shove.
or tend to give more, like, would screen time be a word to use here?
Sure.
Or,
Yep. Spotlight.
Spotlight.
Is what I use. Term.
you know,
Fun metaphors. Fun to stage
we're
metaphors.
really just talking. Sort of on that too, I think GMs need to be able to, in addition to the favorite situation, also not just spread it out like too much. Like, they need to be able to find that balance, you know? And so if they're like, all right, we're going to be an hour over here, hour and a half over here. Oh god, I'm running out of time. Oh god, I'm trying to give everybody fair. An hour over here. Oh god, I'm out of time, and you guys didn't get to do anything. You know, like, I think there also has to kind of be consolidation there.
Yeah, we'll get around to what you want to do next session.
Yeah.
Next session rolls around. Okay, back on this side of the table.
All right, we're going to start from the beginning again.
Rodrigo, what do you want to do, buddy?
Am I still getting
Still being
spit
spit roasted?
roasted?
Classic Rodrigo.
Rodrigo was always my favorite.
I actually have an interesting one I was thinking of. Constructive criticism.
Gas pipe.
Move or not?
Well, constructive.
In what context?
I
By definition, no.
Okay, but fine then. Criticism.
Okay.
Like, you know, both sides of the fence.
The DM giving criticism to something
players.
the player's doing?
Yeah.
It's legit.
Okay.
When you give criticism,
I mean, I think obviously
It should
it's
always
how
be
it's
constructive.
phrased, right?
but is it sometimes an
Stink hole.
move to give criticism? Maybe it's not wanted or welcome. Maybe somebody already knows what they did wrong. You know, and you're just
That's more
and,
what I'm
you're
getting
sitting there kind of harping on him, and they're like, "Dude, I get it. I shouldn't have.
Frellin.
Got
Done-
spit roasted.
Yeah, I shouldn't have
Should've
got
got
right."
roasted. Didn't you do that to me, sir? No! You did it to yourself, Rodrigo!
We're never gaslighting Rodrigo. What the
Fridge.
dudes? What's wrong with y'all?
God, this is like our mirror universe podcast.
Rodrigo's not even at the table anymore.
Yeah,
Why
he's
is
too
this
busy
the
getting
mirror
spit
universe?
roasted.
Roasted in the other room.
We're all being mean and evil. None of us have beards. You have grown a beard, Nina. Like, it's,
I don't know. I think the
Sinkhole.
move is if the GM set himself or herself on such a high pedestal that they can kind of look down and be like, yes, you, Kyle.
Katie is doing the Skyrim like Jarl hand right now, where he's like back in the chair, just like.
You've done everything wrong. You have not succeeded in a single puzzle that my genius mind has created.
Did you know having a 6 in brains in Apocalyptia makes you a genius?
Do you understand why you're so bad at role-playing games? I am the best. I have orchestrated and pulled so many strings to allow your character to rise to heights, and you flew too close to the sun, Icarus! Icarus!
Why don't you play this character? Just ever. He's so good.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have given me some
Duckin.
wings made out of glue and chicken feathers.
It's wax.
You
Unsatisfactory person.
He's a wax.
They were made of hot glue. Mine were. We don't know. Wax is expensive. He made them out of hot glue. And I flew up to the sun like he told me to, and
Something.
it melted.
It died. Drowned.
I know the story of Icarus.
Yeah, so, like, don't be that. I think that's not good criticism is you're up on, on a serious note, you're up on a pedestal and you're like looking down at everyone else and like you're immune to criticism, but you can kind of dole it out. Like it's gotta be a two-way street.
Yeah, being a GM does not give you the right to immediately correct everybody in the way that you think is how do I phrase this? Like, just because you're GM and you think someone's wrong and you jump down their throat to correct them, you don't have that right. And also what you're saying might not be correct. GM makes you rules master, but it doesn't make you god of what characters do. If a character makes a move, you shouldn't have done that. Your character doesn't do that.
Like, oh yeah, and the GM being like, I think I understand your character motivations better than you. I don't think you will.
Oh god, that would steam me.
Flippin'.
Steam my
Dice bag.
dude, like just drip
steam
him, drip him right into that steam bath. Ugh, angry.
Oh, okay. It's a bad situation. I'm sitting there thinking,
Dude, steam burns are serious.
Go on.
Steam burns are a very serious thing. They can hurt a lot,
Especially on your balls.
and you might not even know you're being burned until it's too late.
PSA, everyone. Steam burns.
Oh, we haven't really done signs. to
signs.
GM.
Yeah, okay.
We've
all right.
kind of been saying some signs as we've been going through, but like I have a couple things written down here of if you're in like a stereotypical D&D game where you're in a dungeon and the game master repeats clues or riddles in a terse manner when they haven't been prompted to do so. Guys, the riddle says, if shades of red stand for blood, the wise will not need sacrifice, aught but a loop of magical metal.
I roll to strike the goblin. All right, you swing your sword and your eye is just drawn to something on the wall. You've seen it 4 times before, but it's this bizarre sort of monolithic sort of drawing about putting an orb in a socket. Yeah, I roll to hit the goblin. You swing your sword again, and your eyes are just drawn to that drawing. It just
I roll check magic. You don't find any magic, but you do see this thing on the wall.
this drawing.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's one of the times when railroading is almost acceptable. Like when you're in a situation where there's literally only one way to go forward and your players are just like
Messin'.
around. It's like, can we
At that point,
like
I think it's
nudge the players in that direction?
I think it's less railroading and more you removing the obstacle in your way and letting them kind of tumble into what's next.
Yeah.
Like, it's not being like, come on, get on the train, we're going. You know, it's more of like they're like pressing their faces against the glass, and you're like, just move it. And you move the glass, and they all just like tumble into the next area. That's what I do. I hate puzzles personally. As a player, I'm very bad at them.
You do?
Absolutely.
I didn't know this.
Seriously? Oh, I can't stand it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hate puzzles.
Strange.
And I'm not saying like to GMs that run puzzles. I know I've played in games here with most people. I'm not saying I hate your puzzles. I'm just bad at puzzles in general, and so I'm typically the type of person that's like, oh god, what do I do? And so I'm very like understanding when if I have a very rudimentary puzzle that my players can't figure out for some reason. I'm like, you know what? I hate puzzles too. Let's just get it on there. No more puzzles.
Get on in there. You did it.
You succeeded. I think everyone has like a unique individual tell too.
Oh, I was about to say, like, you know when your friends are when your friends are upset.
You know, like I know for me, it's when I'm laughing, but the like look in my eyes is very dead. And I look back on me like, okay, guys, all right, we're gonna go over this one more time. All right, we're gonna figure this out. Okay, come on. All right, guys, let's bring it back in. Let's focus back up. That's mine. I know that for a fact.
It's kind of
Freaking.
creepy.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, very creepy.
I think mine is, oh, well, you need to roll to throw your phone across the room. Take your phone and shove it up your own
Back pocket.
and then call yourself from someone else's phone. And then make a roll, make a
Gosh darn.
perception check. That's when I'm mad. That's
very
how you can
frustrated.
tell when I'm mad.
Kyle's tells are very subtle.
It's very hard to tell. You might actually think he's coming on to you, but he's not. He's actually very, very cross.
Jordan, what are
wins
your
this time.
special DM tells when you're angry?
Stop making any noises at all and just sit there and wait for people to stop being...
Butt nuggets.
The teacher on salary approach.
The sit and wait.
I'm not mad, I'm disappointed.
Jordan does have a very... No, I'll wait. You finish.
Can I use the restroom? May you use the restroom? What about you, Clayton?
Oh, my tell is when my voice goes up several decibels.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And all my players unanimously nod.
They know what's coming.
We have exact opposite approaches.
They both work.
I don't know, I've never jammed, so I can't tell.
Wow, what a loser.
Right? Look at this deck over here.
And you're on a podcast talking about running games.
Right?
Oh, I can leave too.
Oh, no,
if
I can
it's
be
fine.
angry at GM. As a player, I have plenty of experience there.
Anyway, anybody read any or watched any geeky stuff lately that think's cool?
There's one geeky thing that I can't wait is going to come out in here in 2 days on
you
April
say it.
3rd.
Go ahead.
Legion Season 2.
We thought you were going somewhere else with that one.
He's trying to ruin your life, Kyle.
Okay. What is that, Clayton?
Legion, the character of Legion is based on a X-Men character. However, this series so radically changes that character that it loses... The title of the show loses all meaning. But it's still a really
Fire trucking.
awesome show. I describe it as if David Lynch had started making a TV series about mutants, about X-Men, but then Wes Anderson was brought in to finish the last 75% of it. That's how I describe the first season of Legion. It's just really
Monkey fighting.
weird, but pretty awesome. The other geek thing is that this year could mark a paramount achievement of the human race if preventative measures continue on its current course. The last person to become infected with polio will have been this year.
Ooh.
Wow. Yay!
So,
Who's that poor...
Loser.
fingers crossed that this is the last year that people contract polio.
Wow. On a less, no, it is equally important to me. We were just in Austin, we weren't down there for South by, but South by Southwest was happening, and the pilot of the new, TV show Cloak and Dagger, dropped, which I had no idea was even happening, but Cloak and Dagger might be my favorite superhero duo, ever. So if that went well, it might be a TV show airing, I think, in this or next summer, I can't remember. But I'm excited.
I'm excited for that too. I liked Cloak and Dagger.
I love them.
The comics, not the mid-'80s movie.
The comics were so good. Let's talk about the comics.
On Weeb Alert, there's a Netflix original anime out right now called Be the Beginning. It's pretty good. It's kind of a callback to a little bit of older stuff like Death Note. And you can kind of tell the people that made this were watching that
Poop.
growing up. So it's kind of a
fans
love
of
letter.
Death Note?
Kind of
They
a
were? I
callback.
couldn't even tell.
I know, right? It's not going to blow you away or anything, but it's very much a good homage. So if you like those things, you like detectives, you like crime being solved by detectives. Check it out.
Netflix's animes have actually been pretty solid. Did you see the Castlevania?
Oh yeah,
anime?
actually.
That was great.
So they're doing good.
But
yeah.
then, on the other hand, Netflix did also make the live-action Death Note and the live-action
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
They
So-
didn't make the live-action Full Metal Alchemist.
Really? I thought
No,
it was...
no. They just got the rights to
before
it.
Netflix. Oh, okay.
They just got the rights to it,
Okay.
and now it's under the Netflix.
Well, they aired it.
Yeah.
So I look forward to the Netflix high school version of Full Metal Alchemist.
I can't believe I jumped immediately. They did not
Mud flapping.
make that movie.
But yeah, Be the Beginning. Check it out. It's good.
I've been looking at a lot of weird World War II airplanes lately.
Is that
That's all. That's all I got.
That's pretty part of the course.
Is that your cool geek thing every week?
No, just really recently here. Weird ones.
Like that one German one that takes off vertically or something?
With the rocket-propelled helicopter blades?
Yes.
Not that one this week, but that's a good one.
It's a lot of weird ones.
What about the flying tank?
From Grand Theft Auto 3?
No, I want to say it was the Allies tried to make a literal flying tank. It didn't work.
I think I know what you're talking about, actually.
Wonder what the problem was.
Incredible.
There was also that weird, like, hoverboard thing where the person would stand on top of it, which is a viable thing. It actually, people have made them, like, these days, but it was this horrifying flying death trap where you'd stand on top of it and fly around.
Me about planes in general. They scare me. I'm sorry.
All right, guys.
Wait, I got two things.
I'm sorry, you
You were kind
I
of
was just
content to
letting
go.
other people talk, man. I just
you're-
wanted to.
Signs your podcast
well,
host is
we were
pissed.
going. It went from me to KD, and then it jumped. So I figured
Nobody told me that. So.
Okay.
You were going quietly into that good night there.
Yeah.
Rage against the dying of the light.
I got two things. I just finished up a Netflix documentary miniseries called Flint Town about Flint, Michigan. If you want some material for a slow rolling apocalypse, oh my!
Goodness gracious.
That place is about 10 minutes from full on Mad Max. It is the worst place I've ever seen in the United States.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's embedded with some cops, and you're just watching the whole
Bracken.
system collapse from every level simultaneously like a building demolition. It's insane. And the other thing, of course, is R.I.P. to my boy Stephen Hawking.
Oh, yeah.
We love you, miss you, boo.
I watched the Theory of Everything movie that came out on him a couple years ago. It was really good, actually. It was like about his time at Cambridge when he came up with when he started coming up with his theories about black holes, and then like about his life after that, up until he got like knighted by the Queen, about his trials with Lou Gehrig's disease. It was really good. Would recommend it.
On a funnier note, I was looking through some old Reddit AMAs he did, where he claimed that we should be more afraid of how capitalism is going instead of being afraid of AIs, and people told him to read an Economics 101 textbook. Because Reddit's amazing.
Right.
Props to Shape of Water for taking Best Picture.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, guys. What do you say we stop this bullshit and start rolling some dice?
Yeah.
This has been a production of Alien Familiar Media. You can find past episodes and more at alienfamiliar.com. You can email us at alienfamiliarmedia@gmail.com. This production is protected under a Creative Commons non-commercial attribution, no derivatives license. Music for this episode is Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale and can be found at freemusicarchive.org.